Tesla's got a new unexpected problem, and it's the fact that now the Cybertruck has to compete with a new upcoming electric truck that has many better specs and a much better range than Cybertruck's current biggest rival, the Ford F-150 Lightning. I will tell you what it is, as its surprisingly impressive EPA range has just been announced, why Ford should be scared of this more than Tesla, and also one of many reasons why Sandy Munro has not been invited back on this channel for more than a year now. So let's dive in now. The Cybertruck is finally going in production and Tesla fans are excited. You gotta give it to them. They always are, despite the fact that they have no idea what the specs are, the fact that they can have it in any color they want, as long as it is the color of a refrigerator, or that it looks like it was designed by a drunk 5-year-old with a ruler glued to his hands. I mean, who would put down their hard-earned money to reserve... Oh, what's that? Oh, my Cybertruck reservation? Yeah, let's go ahead and keep that. Now, despite Tesla releasing the specs, then removing them, and then now slowly hinting at what they may actually be, its biggest competition so far has been the Ford F-150 Lightning that has been in production for a while and has sold over 20,000 of those babies to the praises of its owners and the automotive media. Except for one guy. No, not Sandy. He actually loves the damn thing, and we'll get to him in a second. It was... Oh, that's right. It was me. I did not like the range. 320 miles with the bigger battery option? Well, that would be just fine if it was a passenger car. More than enough, actually. But it is a pickup truck, and if by some chance some of its buyers decide to use it as a pickup truck, which means loading it up with stuff, hauling stuff, and going off-roading and stuff, the range can be cut by half, and 160 EPA rated miles is just not good enough. And I know people don't really use pickup trucks as pickup trucks, mainly they use them as very expensive glamorized booster chairs, but let's just pretend for just 1 second like they actually are pickup trucks. Now enter GM, which has already released its Silverado EV specs a while back, and now they've announced its official EPA range, and it makes the Lightning look like a toy. And that's why I got my Cybertruck reservation a little sister, the Silverado EV reservation. Now they can play together and compete for daddy's attention. But not everyone took GM seriously when the Silverado EV was announced, including Sandy Munro. Let me tell you what he said back then, but before that, a quick reminder that this video is brought to you by CRITIC Action Fund. One of the nation's best nonprofits fighting climate change just launched yet another EV raffle. You could win a Lucid Air with a 500-mile battery, or a Rivian SUV plus 10 years of free charging, or a Tesla Model X. The CRITIC Action Fund one-ups itself every year with these raffle prizes while using the proceeds to promote clean energy. For complete terms and to enter the raffle, visit evraffle.org. Tickets are just $200 and no more than 5,500 will be sold. So back in the day, when Sandy Munro was a frequent guest on this channel and we ended up hanging out at the CES in Vegas, the year the Silverado EV was unveiled, I asked him his thoughts on it, and here's what he had to say.
Now that we know what Silverado is all about, how do you think it compares?
It doesn't. It's more expensive, and it's got less features, and I think that Ford is going to have a giant winner. I really do. And I think the Silverado is going to come in sad second. Or actually, not even second. There's other ones that I think are better than that too.
Now that was a complete pile of, now what is the manufacturing term for that? Oh yeah, bullshit. And Sandy should have known better, unless he didn't bother reading a press release from that day. At that time, the starting price was actually exactly the same for both trucks. The specs were favoring the Silverado EV in most categories and definitely in the most important one, the range. So, for those of you who have been asking me why Sandy has not been invited back for a while now, well, this is why. And don't get me wrong, I bow to him on his manufacturing expertise, but his commentary on the common things in the industry was becoming more and more delusional and flat out incorrect. And the reason for that, I believe, was not something that I ever tolerate on my channel. The truth is, and I hope Sandy is watching, the Silverado EV is just a much better offering than the F-150 Lightning. I will tell you why it's better than the F-150 Lightning, but I will also tell you why it's most likely going to be a better of an electric truck than the Cybertruck as well. So, as Sandy likes to say, gather around, boys and girls. The Silverado EV will have the official EPA range of over 450 miles. That is better than they have originally announced and is much better than Ford's 320 miles. Now, let's be very clear. We are only talking about the work truck version that is reportedly already in production. And that's the only Silverado EV model I'm going to talk about, since all other version specs have not been finalized or even announced. I just don't trust GM with anything that they say, unless it's already in production, and even then, I know of at least 2 cases where that doesn't really mean anything. If you compare the Silverado EV work truck to the similar version of the F-150 Lightning, which is the Pro, currently on a temporary hold, which is annoying, you can see that for pretty much the same price, the Silverado EV is a much better truck, including yet another important EV spec, the Max DC fast charging, where the Silverado EV is kicking Lightning's booty by more than double. Though, to be fair, it does have a bigger battery, and it can power a work site for twice as long. Plus, if you ask me, it's a much better looking truck, not that it matters in this case. It actually looks similar to what I think a lot of us thought the Tesla Cybertruck was going to look like before, you know, the whole... These are the specs that the Cybertruck will have to compete with. But guess what? There is more. As a result of the recent deal between GM and Tesla, which I still can't wrap my head around, the Silverado EV should have access to pretty much all supercharger locations, in addition to all Electrify America and EV Go locations. On top of all that, the Silverado EV will feature the bi-directional charging, allowing you to run a worksite or power a house, which at this point doesn't seem the Tesla Cybertruck will be able to do. Oh, and by the way, just in case if you haven't noticed, the $40,000 starting price, much like with the Lightning, is gone. It does have some shortcomings as well, like no home backup power system like Ford has, a shorter bed, and what a lot of people criticize, a huge and not very efficient battery. Now, I have always dismissed that criticism as bullshit. You know, the new manufacturing term you are now familiar with. Because at the end of the day, customers don't care about it. They only care about practical things, like the range, the price, the charging, while they don't care about the chemistry of the battery cells. Just like you don't care about the very smartphone that you're probably holding on to right now. Do you know its specs or efficiency or the chemistry? Do you? You see where I'm going with this? But I would say the biggest shortcoming of the Silverado EV is that the regular customers like you and me will have to wait for a year to be able to buy a consumer version of the truck. So the stage is set. All I can tell you is that we've started this year with 2 electric trucks on the market, and we'll finish it with twice as many. Let me know which one you fancy, and by the way, if you want to know why I think letting GM and Ford use Tesla's charging port in the entire Tesla supercharging network was quite stupid for Tesla, you can check out this video right here and I will explain. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.